Hey guys, and how's it going? So, it's been a few days and I've had time to spend with this Tahoe that I picked up off of Facebook Marketplace. It's taken the place of our beloved Craigslist. Since Craigslist started charging people to list things, that screwed the pooch for everybody, so nobody goes to Craigslist anymore. But either way, this is a 1995 Chevy Tahoe four-wheel drive. It's the first year for the TBI, the only year for a TBI Tahoe. And I traded for this. I traded off my beautiful green Chevy pickup for this. And so, as I said, I've had time to spend with this now. I was warned that it needed some attention, and I know for sure now what it needs. And it definitely needs mechanical work. A couple things are urgent. The rest of it can kind of wait until I get to it. But it does run, does drive, but it's not safe to drive right now. Or let's just say it's not prudent to drive it right now. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's look at the worst of the worst first and see what we got. So usually if you want to find the worst of the worst, you just have to look under the hood. And so anyway, first things first, I was told that the original engine had blown up and been replaced by a junkyard engine. That's not true. I've pulled a lot of engines and I've seen a lot of cars that had the engines replaced in them, and this engine has not been out. This is the original. I know because nothing on it's been touched. Everything is, all the bolts just look like they've been in there for 20 plus years. The hood bolts have not been out. The lines are all original underneath it and needing replacement. So I don't know why that somebody feels the need to say that it has a replacement engine in it. I'd rather have the original engine in it. I think there's a thing about when it gets 300,000 miles on it, everybody gets scared. They think, well, it's about to blow up. When it gets to 300,000, that's when they blow up. But this one runs fine, so who cares? It's got 300,000 miles, it's got 100,000 miles, so I'm not worried about it. But I can guarantee you this is the original engine in it. So when I looked at it the first time, I noticed right away that the coolant reservoir is empty. It's slap empty, as we say. And I've had one of this driveline in a Chevy pickup I drove for a long time, so I was all about used to having to fill that thing up. So there's only a couple places that they leak usually, and so this one has leaks in both of those places. And as a matter of fact, it's leaking so much I wouldn't have even been driving it, but they were just riding around in it. So anyway, I've got my headlamp on here, so hopefully it'll help us see. The first leak is right there. You may see that connector on the water pump has moisture around it. It was worse yesterday, but where it's coming from is it's coming from this quick connect here. It's not on there right now, but that's where it's coming out at. And I think the seller thought that it was a water pump. Not the water pump. It leaks out of that thing because that's a push connector. And the way that is, though it works, it's got those little plastic things you see there are like little retainers, and then that's a steel line coming around that turns into a metal line right here. It's a pretty nice line, but anyway, that thing it's got an O-ring on the end of it, and it could be repaired, I'm sure. But the thing is if that looks like the original line to this truck, and this truck's 26 years old, so that means this line is 26 years old. So I'm not about to drive a vehicle with a 26-year-old coolant lines on it. So there's that one, and then there's another one hiding back there at the back of the intake. So that's that. So it's never had the coolant lines replaced on it. May not have had the radiator hoses replaced either. I know it's had a belt put on it, but could have had the upper, but I don't know. It looks kind of original. So the second place is leaking. It's something I really didn't want to see, but it's there and it's happening right there at the corner. Trying to not mess the camera up, but Right there, it's worse at different times, but there's seepage right out of there. And then at the back is particularly bad. It's running antifreeze out of the back of the intake too. So what that is, that's the intake gaskets that are going out on it. So it's not a hard job to do. I've done it before on my truck. Matter of fact, I did it on the truck even though it didn't need them because I was stupid and I didn't realize it had a bad freeze plug on it. But it's definitely it's definitely in need of the intake gaskets. I think they're all of like $6 and something on Rock Auto. Alright, so that's that. And then I was looking down, just kind of checking these lines out here that are coming around, and they're oily. Especially down at the bottom, they're real oily, and I think I saw one of them leaking a little bit. That's the oil cooler lines. I had some confusion on the other video about what those were. Oil coolers over here, lines over there, transmission cooler. So basically you just have two lines that are a lot like those lines we just looked at. They're metal on the ends and then they turn into rubber. And they run from the radiator, and there's a plate, an adapter that is sandwiched between the block and where the oil filter mounts on. It actually is a oil filter mount. And so those lines just connect there. And so anyway, they're apparently as old as the rest of it, and you do not want to blow an oil cooler line, especially if it's seeping. That's game over. And it's got looks like it's got a power steering line that is doing something. I don't know if that's the power steering line or it's just got gunk off where that's leaking out of the oil line. I think that's the oil line is just getting some stuff on there. But otherwise, the engine is pretty clean. I don't see anything really going on with it. It's had a couple wires that have been something done with those. That's a ground point right there on the thermostat. And speaking of the thermostat, looks like there's not one in it because the way the temperature gauge responds. And if you see there's a blue paper gasket under that. These absolutely do not use a blue paper gasket, any kind of paper gasket. They use a thermostat which has a rubber seal you put around the outside of it, because I had to replace that thing about 3 or 4 times on mine. So, you know, that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to educate people on. You just can't get them to understand that you don't put a paper gasket and goop on it. It takes a rubber gasket, a rubber seal. That's all it takes. It's hard to understand, but that's all it takes. And same with these valve covers. These valve covers use what's called a perma-dry seal on it. Valve cover seal, it's a real nice blue, some of them are orange gasket that's made. It's just rubber and it just goes in there, and you don't put any kind of sealer on it. You just don't do it. Alright, so if they're not leaking, I consider replacing those when I do the intake, but they're dry as a bone, so I don't even think I even need to fool with that. Yeah, the battery cables are gacked. I found this laying under when I was looking underneath it. This is what's left of the preheater that goes between down there on the manifold heat stove and the air cleaner. I'll try to fix this if I can. Oh, what else? Radiator looks good. It's got a wire on this. Let me turn this thing off here. This is the silliest headlamp I think I could have ever bought. It's got a ground wire on this. I don't know what that's about, but these, like I said before, these wiper motors are known to give trouble. And then there's a wire coming up here. I don't know what that goes to, and I don't know where it goes. It goes in the back there someplace. I have to track that down. And I've already been working on the lights. That's a separate part of a separate video. So I've had to fix some lights on it. So I had to do that. Something's happened to the hood over here. The hinge hits the fender when it comes down. It looks like it's been bent out. That spring is what's hitting right here. It's got a little bend in the hood. I don't know what happened to it. But matter of fact, I haven't tested those wipers. Speaking of that, I got the door quieted down. All it needed was lubrication. You know, that's the crazy thing about stuff like this. When it's making noise, put some oil on it. A lot of times that's all it needs. So anyway, let's get underneath this thing on a couple different before we go to the inside of it. I know somebody's gonna ding me. They're gonna say, "Yeah, you don't have a thing under that. You don't have a whatchamacallit jack stand. If this thing fell, it couldn't get me." All right, so here's the drive shaft. 3 rivers. That means, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that says UAW on it, so it's probably the original. But so I think this is a 1-piece drive shaft. I'm not going to move around and look. But anyway, he said he thought it needed U-joints, and I think he's right, because you put it in gear and it goes clang, and then it's going. So I'd say so. So it's going to need at least a rear U-joint, which you'll get all of them. I'll put both of them in it. I'm not a cheapskate. Alright, so let's get up, look around somewhere else. So, one other thing is, I gotta watch this camera. This thing's cut off on me a couple times. But, oh, so, this thing sounded loud when I was running it. And sure enough, it's got holes in the tailpipe. It's got one there. It's got a couple over there. There's no spare tire. Somewhere it had a big hole in it. Come on. Yeah, let's see. That's where it was. Whoops. I didn't flip around on me. There's a big hole there. It's about to rot in two. And this heat shield on the muffler is making noise. It's broken loose. So, yeah. Ugh. And then I don't know what caused this. Really don't, because it's only rested in one little spot right there on both sides, and the rest of the truck, I mean, look at the frame. It's not been up north. I don't know if it's a drainage thing. I think I said that. It's a transfer case, but anyway, this thing was kind of loud up here. I'm going to have to probably flip you guys around a little bit. Let's see what I can do here. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so it was loud under here. Is that thing even focused? Come on, camera. With the program. I gotta get my other camera going, but anyway, so it's there it goes. I think. Heck with you then. Alright, so I thought this thing, it was making noise up under here, and this is at the Y pipe, and I thought originally it was up there at the donut where the connector is. I'm not even sure this has a donut gasket in it. I guess it does, but sorry for the shaking there. I'm a shaky person sometimes, but turned out this pipe has got a split in it up here somewhere. There's a seam, but it was right up here. So you just gotta, I don't know where it's at exactly, but I'm not gonna start it up and prove it, but it's there. But you may notice that this is where the catalytic converter would be if it was there and not there. Somebody has removed it, which this is an OBD 1.5, which means, as you see, it has an upstream converter. I'm sorry, upstream O2 sensor. But it does not have a downstream one, so it doesn't even care if the converter's there or not. The EPA might, but this truck doesn't. All right, so one other thing too, I was glad to see. Get out here. I don't know what this thing. Stupid camera. I'm gonna retire this phone. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. I hit a button wrong. Sorry. Sorry about that. Oops. I think I may have just crawled under here this time. There's good news and bad news with this transmission. It's not really bad news, but look what somebody's done under here. So here's the, I think that's the shifter cable right there. All right, you notice there's a piece of wire on it over here going over there. So that's the torsion bar, incidentally, but I guess something's broken there. It just fits on there. I guess what they're doing, redneck engineering, yeah, I guess what they were doing was, instead of just putting a clip on it or replacing the end of it, or maybe even, heaven forbid, putting a new shifter cable on it, I guess I just decided they'd just pull on it and keep it on there. It's not on there straight right now. Well, one thing, what I was happy to see is that the transmission has been replaced. Looks like you can adapt here to get the light going. Come on. Can you finally see it? Maybe. Yeah. So it's that transmission put in, so that's good. The oil filter does not look like it's been replaced in ages. It's not a surprise either. Okay. Alright, so anyway, that's the majority of it. It's nothing terrible. Not really. Still don't know why. Why would they say that the engine's been out? Like nobody could tell. So going to the interior, it's not bad. I've been cleaning it up. I'll just kind of cover that more on another video. But this driver's door panel has seen better days. It's loose, and these surrounds, which break pretty often, there's two of them broken. One left and one right. This is broken, but they're available. This speaker grill is broken off and gone. They're available. The emergency brake release handle is here, but it is broken off. The theme here, isn't it? But there's a good video on YouTube about how to replace the cable on this. So I'll just get a cable and put on it. I will fix it right up. And this is loose. So when it's loose, that undoubtedly means there's something broken on it. So that's that. And then the headlight switch also is loose. So I'm sure that means something's broken on that as well. I pulled these nasty seat covers off there in the garbage can. The radio, I was going to say that for anybody under the age of 25, I should have done this first. This is the most important thing I should have even talked about at the beginning of this video, was does the radio work? Who cares about everything out there? Does the radio work? Well, it works. But I'm not going to keep this one because these things just look out of place in here. See how far they stick out? And it doesn't look like it belongs, so I don't know. I may go put one of those fairly inexpensive Bluetooth flat radios in it. The air conditioner does not work. Don't know why yet. That's on down the road. Not worried about that right now. This thing here, as I said, is, I don't know what happened to it. But there again, I'm sure that means something's broken. Let's see where we at. Back here, our thing is in place, but our ashtray is missing. Door panel's good. This seat thing here, these seats have got two cables. I've never seen anything like that happen in my life, but I guess anything can happen. But when you fold the bottoms, you fold them down first, and then it unlatches. It's got two, each side's got a cable on it, like an emergency brake release cable up there. And it pulls a latch on this. So until those things are up far enough, they won't unlatch. So this one, the cable's broken. How did that happen? I don't know. It did. Over here, the door panel's in good shape. Again, we're missing the ashtray and the, yep. This one, same deal as the other side. This is here, but the speaker grill's missing. And this seat is okay. I think it can just be recovered. I think they sell the covers for them, but that seat over there is trashed. I don't know if it can even be repaired. But yeah, I didn't even see if the door locks work. There's my answer. I guess that means maybe no. Normal one. No, that's gotta be a normal. Huh. Or if you gotta do it. Whoops, my light's on, isn't it? Yep. No locks. All right. Okay, well that's gonna be its own thing. And the 4-wheel drive, I don't know yet what's up with that. I haven't even tried that, so I'm not gonna worry about that yet. Main thing is to get the engine squared away. Because if you don't have an engine, you don't have a vehicle. So I'll order the parts for it and get it in line to get its intake gaskets replaced. We'll do hoses, we'll do a thermostat, oil cooler lines. Stuff's expensive as heck, and you know, I don't know. I'm not going to go into a big speech about it, but you know, people, anything on this thing, you know, all you got to do is maintain something. I really don't understand it. I don't understand what the philosophy is that if you just neglect something, you can, you know, you're saving money somehow. It's been proven it's not the case. You know, I think this thing had 7 light bulbs out on it. You tell me somebody won't even replace light bulbs. He was driving around with his high beams on because one of the low was burning. You know how long it took me to replace the low beam bulb on this? All you gotta do is go in there. There it is. You just unclip it, twist it partially, take it out. I mean, you could have a little kid come out here and do that if you just showed him. That's the bad thing about it. People, I don't know if it's just this part of the country, but there are 2 things, at least for sure, in this part of the country that you can say people are. And one of them is cheapskates. And there's also the people are nasty. Some people down here are just nasty. This truck was nasty. So I've already given it a level 1 cleaning, which means just get the nastiness off of it. And then we'll go back and really detail it. But it turned out nice, but we'll do that on another video. All right, guys. So enough talking. Anyway, we'll get into this. And oh yeah, last thing I forgot. These Hancock tires. Hankook. I know they're Hankook. I like the wheels on it. But these tires, I didn't think these tires were that old, but guess what they are? They are, we can see, dadgummit. If you can just put some light on that, but the DOT date is 05/14. It's the 5th week of 2014, so they're 7 years old. And they're worn out. And you know, if somebody, you know, I appreciate everybody's opinions. It's nobody's right or wrong. Everybody has their own opinions and all that. But you know, the difference is between I wouldn't buy a small SUV. I mean, it'd have to be something full size like this. But you know, the SUV has benefits over a pickup in that you can lock things up. And that was a big thing for me, is because I carry stuff that's not big enough to have to fill up a truck bed, you know, but I can't secure it. I mean, what's the point of having a pickup truck if you're worried about somebody taking stuff out of the bed of it? And so, you know, that was a big thing. And plus, this thing can tow. It's got a hitch on it, 7,000 pounds. So, I mean, you wouldn't want to pull a Chris Craft with it, but, you know, it'd pull nominal loads just fine. Plus, I got that trailer over there. As soon as I get it fixed up, I can put stuff on the trailer if I need it. So it's an all-around useful vehicle, and that was the thing that decided me on wanting one. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. I gotta get cleaned up, get the yard cleaned up a little bit more. I've been cutting grass today and stuff, and all that, and then go back to work tomorrow. So it's been fun hanging out with you. So we'll do more of this old thing. And so stay tuned, and we'll see you then.